Hello folks, it's the Pace Chaser again. Welcome to another one of my videos. This is another one of my model reviews where we look at models that are available on the second-hand market. And this one we're going to look at the Corgi Original Omnibus Company and Atlas Editions Queen Mary, in other words Leyland PD3 with Northern Counties bodywork, as supplied to Southdown in the mid-1960s. Now you might think that these are not relevant to you, but think again. When Southdown finished with them, they sold them to various independent operators. We've got a Weardale one to review as well. And some of them operated into the early 1990s. Some went as far away as Hong Kong as well. They were exported when Southdown had finished using them. And there's quite a lot of them preserved nowadays. If you've got one in the original Southdown apple green and cream livery, like these two here, they're still relevant on a modern model railway layout. For example, you could have them on a heritage running day on a shuttle service to and from an exhibition or a preserved railway. As I said, there are loads of them preserved in the original Southdown colours. Corgi did a couple of versions of them, one with single headlights and one with twin headlights. We've got one of each to review today. They also did an open top version. I haven't got one of those, but what I will do, if I get an open top one in the future, I'll do a separate supplementary video, like a miniature review of the open top one. And in common with quite a lot of the original Omnibus Company castings, Corgi allowed Atlas Editions to use the moulds for a while, so they produced a version of it as well, and I've got an Atlas one to review. So we're going to start with the Corgi single lamp one. See single headlamps on the front there. This is catalogue number 41901, first released in December 1999. This one's in the original Southdown livery of apple green and cream. Represents vehicle TCD 827 on route 45 to Fareham. So I'll take it out of the box, standard Corgi box, just unclip it, the limited edition certificate there, sellotapes underneath. So I'll take it out of the box and we'll have a look at it in a moment. So there we go, the grand unboxing. Just take the retaining bit of plastic off there and we'll have a look at it. So as I said before on these reviews, the important part of model bus is the front. This is the part that's normally displayed, whether it's in a display case or it's on a model railway layout or on a diorama, something like that. And the front of the Queen Mary looks really, really good. You've got the characteristic shape of the dome there and the windows. Blind printed on as usual on original Omnibus Company models, or was at this era anyway. Again, that allows them to do different variations. When Southdown sold them, some people panelled over the blinds, some rebuilt them slightly. The archetypal shape of the lower deck windscreen there, the drooping bottom of it, well captured. One of the standout features of this model is the grille. It's done in a really shiny plastic. The real one had a chromed grille, but it looks really, really effective. I've painted a few of these in my time, and I always take care to mask the grille over, so I retain the original grille because it looks really, really good, really effective. Registration number nicely printed there. Fleet number 827 just next to it, just about visible. And as you can see, it's got single headlamps. Side lights are just printed on, indicators are part of the casting and moulded. But yeah, it looks very, very good. They normally have two mirrors. This one I bought second hand, and it's got a mirror missing. As you can see, the near side one isn't there, but normally it would be fitted with two. Also appears to be missing the windscreen wiper from the driver's windscreen as well, but it was cheap, so we'll get to pricing in a bit towards the end of the video. But yeah, I did buy it cheap, so you've got to expect a couple of bits missing here and there. If we go around the side again, nicely modelled. The door is printed onto the plastic glazing, but you can't really tell. It's so broken up with the little windows and the separate leaves and things that you can't tell immediately looking at it that it's printed. So it doesn't let it down as much as it does on some of the more modern castings. Often with these I would recommend putting a bit of plastic on, you know, thin bit of plastic, cutting out the windows and sticking that over it to give some relief. But actually on this door it would be a nightmare to do with the 8 little windows. So quite happy to leave it as it is. It looks quite effective, as I say. All the rest of the opening windows there printed on quite nicely. Go around the back again, quite a lovely feature. Got the emergency exit there in the centre. Shape of it looks about right. Printing, lovely. You've got the seating capacity there, registration number, fleet number. Lights nicely modelled. And if I go around to the off side, again, nicely done. Have a look at the roof, the detail nicely printed on there. There was some variation on the roofs, I'll show you that in a moment. But this one's got the standard fixed roof. See the ventilator detail nicely done, the different panel lines and things. All in all, really nice model. As it's still attached to the base, I'll show you the chassis of one that I've painted. You can see the chassis detail there. Obviously normally you wouldn't have the splatters of paint that have sprayed onto it. But there's a good representation of the chassis framework, the wooden flooring modelled above it as well. Very nice indeed. So I'm going to move on now to the twin lamp one, and this shows a variation in the roof as well, which we'll see when we open the box. This one is catalogue number OM41901, quite confusingly. So 41901 was a Southdown one that I've just reviewed. Later on in the production run, they went into numbering them with an OM prefix, and then they reused some of the numbers but for different models. So this is OM41901, the Weardale Motor Services one. This was released in January of 2001. As you can see, this one is factory sealed. Now at one time that would have made it worth more money, but the reverse is true nowadays. The factory sealed ones tend to be worth a bit less. I think the reason for that is in some cases you can't see through the sealing material. In this one you can, it's transparent, so you can see the model beneath. But quite often you can't see through it, and therefore you can't see there's any damage on the bus from when it was manufactured. I did buy a factory sealed Atlas Editions Leyland Lynx a while back with an ominous rattling noise coming from within the box, and when I opened it I found there was a wheel become detached from it. I'll get back to that in a minute as well, about wheels detaching themselves. But I'm just going to open the factory sealing on this so I can get into the box, and when I've done it I'll start filming again. So there we go, I'm filming this video in February 2024, so that's been sealed in its box for 23 years. And now it's out into the open, absolutely brand spanking new. So you can see the variation I'm talking about on the front there with the twin headlamps. Otherwise than that, the bus is pretty similar in most respects. You can see on the Southdown one that I previously reviewed, sorry, just make a really noisy job of moving it across. It's only got one fog light that's printed on there, whereas the twin headlamp one has got two fog lights. See, that's how the windscreen wiper should look. It's got both of them on, as you would expect, and both mirrors. So I'll just move around again. It's the same basic detail on the sides and the rear, but nicely done, as you can see. Registration plate looks particularly good on this one with the silver surround to it as well. And then moving around to the off side. Now this shows the variation in the roof. Some of the buses had translucent panels in the roof. Now Corgi could have just printed these on, but what they actually did was cut some holes in the roof and put a subframe underneath with these panels on it, so it gives some relief to it, which is a really nice feature. I really like it. It looks really effective, as you can see. Again, a lot of people would just have litho printed the panels onto the roof, so it's kudos to Corgi for doing that. Looks really good. The chassis will be the same as the one you've just seen, but I'm not going to take it off the box just yet. I will do in due course because I want it on a display. So next we come to the Atlas Editions one. This is their catalogue number 4655105. Released in September of 2010. Corgi actually did release some of the Queen Marys after that, so they must have either loaned the casting to Atlas or just produced a model for them. Now I know what you're thinking, Percy Chaser, why should I avoid buying an Atlas Editions, one of the models? And the answer is you shouldn't. The difference really is it comes in a slightly more crude box. As you can see, it's just a cardboard box. This one again is one of my second-hand purchases, so it's quite worn. We just open it up and we'll take the model out, and again we'll see it in a moment. So differences with this as well, the Corgi one's secured by some screws to the base. If you just take the limited edition certificate off there, unsellotape it, the screws are exposed underneath. Normally on the Atlas ones the screws are filled in, there's a bit of plastic permanently glued across them, so you have to break the plastic off. Luckily in this case, because I bought the model second hand, somebody's already broken it off for me. But across there should be a bit of plastic glued, which you have to break off. Just stick a screwdriver in, give it a sharp tap with a hammer, it'll break off, and that exposes the screws. As I say, somebody's luckily done this one for me. And that is the principal difference. Apart from that, it's a really good model. I know some of the Atlas models have silly mistakes on them. I reviewed a Teesside trolleybus a while ago that had the registration number from one bus and the fleet number from another one printed onto it. There's a St Helens AEC Regent on the market that's got the wrong registration number printed onto it. But there were no such mistakes on this one. This is fleet number 265, registration BUF 265C. As you can see, it's on the same route 45 that the Corgi 41901 was on. The blind really printed with intricate detail. This one and the Weardale one that I looked at as well have got the opening upper deck front windows, whereas the original one you can see there that I reviewed has got fixed ones, and the vent that's printed on is different as well. I'll just show you the Corgi one that I looked at originally, and then the other Corgi one and the Atlas one. You can see the vents different between the various different types. But as I say, the Atlas one is every bit as good a model really as the Corgi. Nothing much to tell between them. If I turn it round again, the printing on the side of the door is really good, looks effective. Looks like this one's been screwed down too firmly to its base, it's flattened the tyre. There's nothing you can do with that, you need to replace the tyre. But it's only a minor problem. I'm not going to push it around my carpet, so it doesn't really matter too much. Again, we'll look at the back, nicely done. And the offside, you've got the representation of the panel there. Again, printing absolutely lovely on there. Hire a Southdown coach for your private party. The only thing about it really is it's got the same advert on both sides, which, you know, does annoy some people, I suppose. Or it's an advert for Polo, which is a different one of the adverts. Go the whole way on the near side and advertisement on that side. It does irritate some people, but it doesn't really matter. You can't see both sides of the bus at once normally, can you? And again, you've got the holes in the roof with the translucent panels on the subframe there. Nicely done. So as I say, the Atlas model, every bit really as good as the original omnibus one that it's based on. Nothing much to tell between them. Pitfalls on the models, I did mention wheels coming off. It can happen. I've got one here that I repainted. The later batches of the Queen Marys in real life had panoramic windows. They also had different front upper deck windows. They had like a curved thing that sort of curved around the sides as well, and a different pillar. Now Weardale very helpfully rebuilt one of their panoramic buses with the front upper deck windows from a normal bus. And it ended up looking very much like that. So I had to do one. So I cut the window pillars out and did a repaint, and you know, did the actual bus HCD 350E. Have a look for it on Flickr if you don't believe that it was ever rebuilt like that. But yeah, while I was standing on the front door and ready to paint it, the one of the rear wheels fell off. Was absolutely nowhere near the rear wheel. It dropped off. It does happen sometimes on the original Omnibus Company models. Seems to happen to the Queen Marys quite a bit. It's not a big problem, just a dab of glue on the end of the axle, push the wheel back on, hold it for about 20 seconds just to make sure it's glued on, and everything's as good as new. So we're getting out of prices. The answer is not very much. At one time the Atlas ones were cheaper than the Corgi. That's not really true now, they're both much of a muchness. The 41901 that I reviewed, the Corgi one, that set me back the princely sum of £4 plus £3.55 postage and packing. So £7.55 altogether. It does have a windscreen wiper missing, as we said, and a mirror as well. But actually you can get ones for about the same price that have got all the wipers and mirrors fitted to them still. But still a really good price, £7.55 for a box model. Can't go wrong at that really. The Weardale one was the more expensive. Some of the non-Southdown ones tend to be more expensive. They did quite a few of the Southdown ones in the apple green and cream livery. I think there's 9 releases altogether between the close top, the open top and the Atlas in that livery. So they tended to get less collectible as they went on because people already had one in that colour and thought they couldn't be bothered to buy another one, even if it was a different fleet number and registration number. But the non-Southdown ones tend to be a little bit more pricey. The Weardale one set me about the printer's number £14.95, including postage and packing, which is pretty decent, I think. So the Atlas one, much of a muchness, £4.75 plus £3.99 postage and packing. a grand total of £8.74, again for a boxed model with all its wipers and mirrors, so that's not bad at all. So that's your benchmark really, anywhere from about £7 or £8 including postage. Some of the releases are more collectible than others. You can go up into the 40s. I've seen them for like £43, £44 with postage outside as well for the more collectible ones. But for the run-of-the-mill releases, like the ones that I've got, anywhere between about say £7 or £8 including postage up to about 15. And the same for the Atlas as well. I've seen the Atlas ones up to about £17. So just shop around on the internet auction sites, your model shop websites, things like that. You can, but they are much of a muchness. The Atlas and the Corgi are more or less the same price nowadays. Not much to tell between them. If you want a Queen Mary, it doesn't really matter if you get an Atlas or a Corgi one. They're all pretty good models, and they are very, very easy to come by. So yeah, as always, thank you for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed the review. If you have, please click the like button so more people can find it. Please consider subscribing for more of the similar kind of content. Other things as well, like videos of buses in Grimsby and things like that. How can you possibly resist a video of buses in Grimsby? But yeah, thank you for joining me. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.